I took yesterday off, and what happens? Well, the judge decides to take the day off. Drake comes out in support of Mr. Williams, and there seem to be a leak of jailhouse calls between Mr. Williams and his girlfriends. So that is what we are going to talk about today. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't take a day off when it comes to this trial. Nothing happens. Utterly boring, stupid things said from the prosecution, bad decisions from the judge. And yesterday, I had family matters and everything happens. Yeah. Let's start off with what happened yesterday. Well, judge decided no more court this week. Court will resume on Monday. And, well, that's about the entirety of what we know. This is from Fox 5 Atlanta. Trial of Young Thug and his YSL co-defendants in Fulton County will resume test. Well, here it says Thursday, but later it went, no, not until Monday. Judge Ural Glanville cancelled Wednesday's hearing, but did not give a reason for the cancellation. And the only thing that... let's see here. Where did it go? Oh, I had it here. Yeah, only thing is from Thugger Daily on Twitter, where someone said someone reported the judge had an emergency. And that's it. Let's see here if I can... Oh. Someone said it... Up from Dennis Myron, who is a Hip Hop Enquirer, LLC. There is no court today because I received an email stating the judge had an emergency, so court will resume tomorrow morning. And that then was changed to nothing for the rest of the week. And yeah. That's all I know. So for what we know, that emergency, it could be anything. It could be he had a veterinary appointment, dental appointment. He decided he didn't want to go out of bed that morning. We don't know. And that is quite infuriating because this is a trial. This is serious matters. If he decides to take the week off because of an emergency, we kind of need to know. Culpristic, they never have court on Friday. Well, sometimes they have court on Fridays, but only a half day on Fridays. And that is because Judge Glanville has senior court of sorts on the Fridays. And so that is all I know about. That is simply every Friday he has prior commitments. Yeah. Hello everybody, by the way. Hello Fun Size. Hello Cool Gamer. Hello Didi. Culpuristic. Helen Jennison, and the rest of you. I mean, this is infuriating. That not knowing, and all of a sudden, no court. Now we found out that Mr. Stillwell was stabbed in jail. News was out about it. And we found out that they were going to have a week off. Okay. Then we had Monday and Tuesday this week of actual hearing, which Well, of course, judge was late again, both days. And then it was a lot of evidentiary matters, because the judge in pre-trial said, bring it up when it's time to bring it up, when you are trying to admit the evidence. And now, when they are trying to admit or dismiss the evidence, why didn't you do that before? It is infuriating and so disrespectful. Yeah, Chelsea, I would be so mad, says, I would be so mad if I was on the jury. Yeah, I mean, they have probably taken time off work. They have told their employers, their family, don't talk to me, don't do anything. And all of a sudden, there are weeks and days, and that there is no court. Okay, that's disruptive for their life more than necessary. It's what about the Speedy trial? Yeah, that's, I don't know what to say, what I haven't said before. It's ridiculous that this trial, when the prosecution said in November of 2022, said we are ready for trial, they had 79 witnesses. It took them 11 months to find a jury, which was done in November of last year. And by then, the prosecution's witness list have bloated to over 700 witnesses. It is so stupid. I don't know what to say. And then everything with Fannie Willis showed emerged, that she hired her boyfriend to do the Trump RICO trial, and that they actually received federal funding to get rid of as many cases as possible from the docket that was still in there since the CVID days, and she uses it for 4 RICO trials. And now YNF, another rapper that had a RICO trial against him with 13 counts. He let me find that one. YF and Lucci, or Lucky, I don't know. Here it is. Let me get this up bigger. As part of the plea, or part of deal with prosecutors, the rapper had 12 counts against him dismissed and pleaded guilty to 1 count of violating the Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act. 1 count. 10 years in jail, 10 years probation. That's it. That's, I mean, they have spent on that that trial alone well over $1 million, and 1 count. 10 years, then they have to deduct the number of months he already spent. But that's it. That's it. Out of 13 counts, 1 he pled guilty to. 1. What a waste of taxpayers' money. And so yeah, and then you had this interesting jail video leak. Oh, hold on. Let me do. I always forget this. Hold on. My swoop. The Norwegian firefighting dragon. Yes, the Drake in support and over for Young Thug is disgraceful. This is from Hip Hop DX something. Drake blasts Young Thug judge over disgraceful jail video leak. Whole case is a wash. Drake has called out the judge presiding over the Young Thug RICO case after a video of the rapper in jail leaked. Footage of a phone call between Thugger, who has been in bars since May 2022, and his girlfriend Mariah the scientist surfaced online Wednesday, yesterday, when I had a day off. After coming across the video, Drake posted an angry comment online slamming Judge Euro Granville for failing to prevent Thug's privacy from being invaded. Quote, "This gotta be some form of jail misconduct." Well, there's no such thing, but I understand what it means. You're gonna drag this talented man, then not be able to control your employees using his personal business for their own gain. Somebody benefited from this video even existing, and that's shameful. Whole case is a wash. Just free the guy and let him come home and continue bringing light to Atlanta. Yeah, and here it is. Let's see here. And I'm not going to play it. That's it. But it exists. Oh, sorry. There. So, yeah. It's disgraceful. Yes, get back with me. The state is the only one with access to that video. It's recorded in jail. And it's not supposed to be shown at all. It's only supposed to be saved until not necessary to have it saved anymore. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the case. Get back with me. I think the judge is trying to buy time so that the prosecution can get their stuff together. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't, because it's disgraceful. It is. It is disgraceful. It's a mockery of the justice system, in my opinion, what they are doing in this trial. And there I am again. Hi. It's more or less a year-long trial of slandering Mr. Williams, in my opinion. He is indicted for stuff that others may or may not have done. He is indicted under the RICO Act, which we know is the Georgia RICO Act is so broad and so vague that this agreement in the criminal enterprise can be spoken or unspoken. There are statutes in it. And yeah, it's disgraceful. And knowing that District Attorney Fannie Willis, the RICO attorney of Georgia, is spending federal money that was supposed to be there to clear the docket from old CVID cases. I mean, misdemeanors, felons. I mean, there's so many cases awaiting trial. And what she does is this RICO. And why does she do it? I said it before. I will say it again. She wants to become the next Attorney General of Georgia. Yeah, Speedy trial is about when the trial starts, not how long the trial runs. And under the Speedy trial rules, the trial starts with the jury selection, not first day of actual trial. So having an 11-month jury selection, well, definitely they were not ready for trial when they claimed they were. Okay, that is more or less what happened yesterday. Now, so that's 15 minutes off. Here's what happened. For the rest of you, I left off Tuesday a bit early because I had an early morning the day after. It is roughly maybe an hour's worth of content if you want to watch it with me, and most of it is evidentiary hearing and objections to evidence coming in. So if you want to watch that with me, please do. I need the watch. I need a viewer count. And yeah. So let's see here. Where were there? No, there. And sound and big picture. There it is. And allow me to move in our gang leader, Mr. Jingles. We are all a part of Mr. Jingles Viking Thugs, just so you know. Yeah, so for you who wanted the news on what's been going on, you have that. Thank you for being here for that. If you want to keep watching, please do. I really appreciate if you did that. So here, the final hour's worth of content from Tuesday's hearing, or Tuesday's trial. Another swoop. Okay, that is how I can find this. I might do the first part and cut it out. I have to because I'm not at Rumble at the moment. I didn't have time to set that up. But yeah, let's get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
So, jury's not with us at this point in time. Mr. Sharp, you said you had a supplemental basis as to why I should get the right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on one second. You had a separate basis for an objection on State's 14 uniform.
I do, Your Honor. Now, just to be clear, the state, we just spoke with the state. The state has, in some ways, limited what they're seeking to play. That does not address my concerns or I think the concerns of my colleagues. But I didn't know if you wanted to hear about what was being proposed first, or you just wanted to hear my argument in total first.
Well, what specifically are you objecting to? I assume the state's going to play different portions of that particular tape that they wish to impeach him on.
Right. Okay. So let me just start in the beginning. We object to the entire tape as improper bolstering and improper. There's been no prior inconsistent. There's been no repudiation.
I'll disagree with you about that, given his testimony. So we're going to.
Well,
but you can. But that's your assertion. So
okay.
Next.
So just for the record, the foundation has not been laid for a prior inconsistent statement. And additionally, Your Honor, they do have the written plea agreement with his initials on it in evidence. So that's already there. Now, also, Your Honor, specifically beyond the global objection, we object to the law and crime insignia on the tape.
The what? I'm sorry?
Law and crime insignia that's on the video. It's an insignia that I guess that's
it's yeah.
Okay, we object to the headings. There's one heading in the beginning that says 8th YSL, in quotes, member enters guilty plea or something to that effect. It on my copy, it disappeared for a while, but then midway through the tape, it picks up again and it says something to the effect of YSL gang member agrees to testify against Young Thug. So we object to any of those added headlines. Now, Your Honor,
are they going to be taken out?
The state has not indicated one way or another on that.
Your Honor, that headline does not it does not lend itself to being extracted. I have been attempting to cover it, but when I do that, the video itself doesn't play. But what happens, Your Honor, is that
apparently the prosecution don't know about what do you call it? overlays, as in overlays like this, or this, or this. Of course you can overlay, but then here's the problem with that. In order for them to enter it into evidence, it has to be the actual recording, not their re-recording. And having a law and C-word video as evidence, that's stupid. You should have, I mean, seriously, this prosecution, it's so bad. And here's the thing. When is that recording from? Because if it is after, well, it has to be when Slug had its plea agreement, then Law and C-word did a video on it, or a stream on it. That's a news report. What? That's so stupid.
Which it comes up is when you manipulate the screen. So, for instance, if I were to simply start playing the video, it goes away. And then when I touch the screen for any purpose, it then comes back up. So literally, unless you have the pointer over the screen, that heading, that caption is not there. And what I would propose to do to remedy that is to stop sharing just before I pause the video itself.
Will that get rid of the headers as well, where it says, 8th YSL member?
It would.
Whatever it purports to say.
It would. And Your Honor, if I may, I can actually show the court what I'm speaking of. I'm trying to join back into the Zoom.
And Your Honor, I as noted, I stated that it comes back later on in the video. I cannot say
that. What comes
the heading. I cannot say whether that was caused by my manipulation of the mouse or the screen when I was reviewing it. I'm not certain, but we adamantly object to those headings being shown to the jury. So I'm a little unsure of whether I caused it the second time or if it pops up again on its own.
And Your Honor, since I'm going to now share the screen, I can display to the court what we're referring to.
They want to enter a law and crime video. Okay, how was it edited? Who edited it? Is it out of order? Do they misrepresent stuff? What the actual F is going on? How is this even remotely allowed? And we already know he did a plea agreement. They read the plea agreement in court. This is just bolstering. And this is something that the prosecution has done over and over and over again. They bring in one witness that says something vague. Then they bring in another witness. Well, that previous witness, yeah, sure. That's bolstering, in my opinion. Okay, so that's from the court proceedings.
This is what I mean when I put the cursor over it, it comes up. When I take it away, it goes away. I'm going to stop the share and show what I propose.
And here's the thing. That recording should be in the hands of the prosecution. the base recording. The raw feed should be in the prosecution's hands. And it has no evidentiary value. Yeah. Get back with me. This is being vindictive. She wants to label him a snitch on the streets. Yeah. She didn't like the way he testified. Here's the thing, ADA Love, that's on you, and District Attorney Willis. You wrote a bad plea agreement. This shouldn't be allowed in, but you never know.
Versus Trantazia Stevens, an indictment 22 USC 183572. Good evening, Ms. Gladden.
Yeah, so they are playing that.
Is rather than publish this exhibit through this witness, I can tender it and we can publish it through a different witness with the areas addressed that Mr. Sharp has and with everything else edited out. So at this time, rather than attempting to put it in through Mr. Stevens, I will simply, it is for impeachment purposes and I can't address the rest of the argument, but I can put it in through a different witness.
Why not just
Publish it.
Why not just edit the video and recall him? I mean, is there somebody else you can go on?
I can do that.
Is there somebody else you can go on to at this point in time so that you could, because that will be a problem as formatted. I'd like to see you Mr. Sharp's correct. I'd like to see you get rid of those, the law and crime and the header.
Yes, Judge, we can definitely do that. And
Okay.
I have a couple of more questions for Mr. Stevens, and then I will,
When would you be able to redact the video? Would he have to come back in the morning?
yes.
Okay, all right. What's your other objection, Mr. Sharp? I'm going to take, State's going to take care of that. The law and crime insignia and the 8th YSL member, the header, stripped out.
Thank you, Your Honor. So from 0 to 158 approximately, which is what the state plans on playing, from 0 to 158, Your Honor, and let me be clear, this is completely appropriate for a plea. We're just stating that it's not appropriate to play during the trial. So I'm not suggesting that Your Honor did anything wrong in the plea, but Your Honor goes over some background information, and Your Honor states how it's going to happen and states that the state is going to present what they believe to be a factual basis. And if you find a factual basis, I'm paraphrasing, if you find a factual basis, then you'll make that determination. 17857 reads, it is error for any judge during any phase of any criminal case to express or intimate to the jury the judge's opinion as to whether a fact at issue has or has not been proved or as to the guilt of the accused. And
Didn't we cover that already? Didn't I cover that would not be appropriate for this particular pleading or for this particular?
well, that's not what the state's planning on playing.
And I thought we were going to start at 158. It's not 0 to 158.
No, they said they were going to start at 0.
We can start at 158 and we can edit all of that out. We can take all of the part out that Mr. Sharp objects to.
All right, so they're going to start at 158. Just make sure that the preamble colloquy is gone, because
Certainly.
that for the purposes of plea, okay, in front of a jury, it would be in violation of that particular.
Yeah. When the defense does something wrong, in the judge's opinion, he yells at them and calls them not professional in front of the jury. If the prosecution forks up, either he removes the jury or he just lets it slide. It is so infuriating.
Code section.
So, and Your Honor, I appreciate that. My next objection is, beyond the blanket objection, is at 610 approximately, they start reviewing the acknowledgments. From 158 to 610, they talk about his age and his education and things leading up to the plea. At 610, they start with the acknowledgments. And specifically, again, we're going to our belief is that that is improper bolstering. And
So what specifically?
well, the acknowledgments that have already been discussed ad nauseum in testimony, and also the acknowledgments that are on paper with his initials next.
What acknowledgement are you talking about? You talking about the plea agreement?
Not the agreement, but the factual acknowledgments within the plea agreement that YSL members sell drugs at 151 Cleveland Avenue, for instance, or YSL members sell drugs at 221 Cleveland Avenue.
Okay, it's his factual predicate that he's agreeing to. So
Right.
what's your specific objection?
Well, he's never said that's not true. He said that was true. Like, for instance, when I cross-examined him, I just said, he said it was true. I said it was true, and he agreed. And we just said it wasn't exclusively YSL. It was other people sell drugs there. So,
Okay, but that's a jury issue, them to wait it out. But if the state wants to challenge or impeach,
It's still bolstering. It's just him saying it again, but in a recording. It is bolstering, in my opinion. So it's not impeachment. It's just, I mean, there's nothing in that pre-agreement that said they exclusively, and that's the right of the defense to cross-examine on that thing. Why play it again? It's already admitted. The plea agreement in itself is already admitted.
him as to what he has said or he doesn't remember, then that's because he's saying as part of his plea agreement, these facts he agrees to but you may disagree with them, but that's for the jury to decide whose version they want to. Rephrase. You don't have to present anything. It's the state's version, basically. So if they decide that they wish to believe that, or later if you decide you want to present evidence, which you're not required to do, they'll wait and sift that out. But primarily they have to. It's the state's burden to prove that.
I agree with everything you said, Your Honor, except I do respectfully disagree. I don't think that there's been any disagreement or any repudiation of that acknowledgement. He said it was true, and we just said it's not exclusively YSL, but he never said that acknowledgement is not true.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna overrule that part.
Okay.
So I'll leave the acknowledgements in. Okay.
Okay.
So
and then at 15:30, just before 15:38, I think 15:30 approximately, we're going through. He's going through his Boykin rights and his rights that he's waiving, and then there's an understanding that the plea is in effect throughout this trial. The conditions of the plea are in effect throughout this trial, and any subsequent appeal for these gentlemen. And
okay, if appropriate. So that would need to be redacted.
Right.
So the specific reference to the appeal.
right.
Okay.
And
So you
then-
have any issue with that?
No.
All right. So around 15:30, we'll exempt out the issue in returns to the appeal.
And-
Yeah. And the reason why they don't want appeal is the jury should not be weighing that in, that, it can always be appealed. We can have them guilty now and get it over with, and then he can appeal. Or an appeal can make a reference to, if they're already preparing to appeal, that means they're guilty. So that's why it has to be removed.
And so then the state agreed with us to take out the factual basis.
So what
And that's from 1538 to, I believe, 2256, more or less. They said they're going to not play any of the factual basis.
That's correct.
okay.
At 2311 is the statement made by Your Honor that Mr. Steele had talked about, my prosecutor statement at 2311. We feel that should be taken out.
Okay. Any objection, state?
Your Honor, I just say that the court does not make that statement as if we are the.
I understand we're separate branch of government, but just for the purposes of trial, different than plea. So I ask that you omit that at 20.
No court today, no court tomorrow. Judge apparently had an emergency and decided that no court rest of the week. So this is a recap of the arguments between the prosecution and the defense from Tuesday regarding pieces of evidence that the defense wants redacted or not being played at all.
311.
Okay.
Okay, what else?
And then at 2639 to 2710, the state agreed that they were not going to play 2639 to 2710.
2630 to 2710?
2639 to 2710.
What's there?
And you were warning him about the dangers of being out late at night, and there's a lot going on in the city at this day and age and things of that nature. So you were given
curfew.
Yes, it's curfew.
yes. And then at 2720 specifically, there's another reference to an appeal.
All right.
Actually, 2720 does not talk about either of the other defendants' appeals. It talks about his rights. So I would ask that that not be taken out.
Yeah, if it's his right to appeal, then it needs to stay in.
All right. I don't have the quote in front of me. So if it talks about any of these gentlemen's right to appeal, we would ask that it be taken out.
All right, what else?
And I believe that's all I have.
Okay, let me kind of just summarize this point in time. So, State and Ms. Love and Mr. Sharp, he specifically objected to a law and crime insignia. They're going to remove that. The YSL 8th member takes plea. The headers, you'll get rid of that. The reference time hacks that you all are going to edit out. And my expectation is that you all will do this together, Mr. Sharp, Ms. Love, so that there are no hiccups, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. What I can do is send to Mr. Sharp as it is edited out the version that we've come up with, and he will, I expect, send back to me his concerns.
Okay, if any.
Right.
All right, so 158 we're going to omit. And what's it 158? Oh, we're going to omit 0 to 158. We're going to omit, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
that's the prefatory remarks. Is that right?
So
What's it 0 to 158? So I can,
Here.
for the purpose of the record, just tell me what it is.
You're explaining the process to Mr. Stevens, and you're explaining that
Oh, the factual
you're going to
basis.
present a plea and provide a factual basis.
And the Boykin rights.
And Your Honor, the only thing that I would ask with respect to that is that the portion that Mr. Sharp has objected to regarding the factual basis, that the court allow us to edit out that part, but not the surrounding part where the court's essentially making certain that Mr. Stevens at that time is understanding and aware and comfortable with what's happening. So I'm asking that a
I don't
blanket
know how
0 to 158 exclusion not be had at this time, and that
because Mr. Stevens already testified to it. He spent, I think, 5 full days on the stand. Now, was he a good witness for the prosecution? Not really. But he said everything that was in the plea agreement was said out loud in court. So him just being there on a recording talking about his plea agreement in front of this judge, that's just bolstering, in my opinion. That's not impeachment, that's bolstering. But I'm not the judge here. It's Judge Glanville, who had an emergency and decided everybody needs to take the rest of the week off. I don't know what kind of emergency it is. Don't know. All we know is that everybody, the prosecution and the judge, is wasting the jury's time.
the court allowed Mr. Chardonnay to communicate with respect to the timestamp of the part where the court addresses the factual basis so that I can extract that out, but leave the remaining in so that the jury has context about what's going on.
What specifically are you objecting to again, Mr. Sharp, in terms of the in terms of that 0 to 158? Because I do have to explain to the defendant it's about two things I have to cover, and that's the Boykin rights analysis, and then there's a factual basis determination. So,
well, specifically, I'm objecting to the factual mention of the factual basis.
I have to though. I have to explain to a defendant.
It doesn't need to be played at this trial. I don't really know why any of it.
Okay, here's where it's going to become an issue. When we charge this jury at the end and they look at the factors for whether or not this particular piece of evidence and weighting it, it would be not proper if the court didn't go through that as part of that analysis in the court's charge. So these are factors you got to take a look at. So,
but Your Honor, if I may, they're the proponent of this evidence. They are proposing that it's being entered to impeach Mr. Stevens with his prior inconsistent statements. So I don't know what any of this has to do with that. They're the proponents. And so the background of the plea to me, from my vantage point, is completely irrelevant. We're not here to determine the voluntariness of Mr. Stevens' plea. And if they want to get into his prior inconsistent statements over my objection and over the objection of others, I guess that's what's going to happen, but I don't know what the relevance of all this other stuff is.
Your Honor, I have a response to Mr. Sharp's response to the court, and that is that when the voluntariness of the plea has been impugned or questioned on cross-examination extensively, it very much is relevant. And I have a copy of the transcript that is, the court can take judicial notice of it, but I'm going to just ask that the court allow me to give to the court what I will label as one zebra.
Zulu.
And this is a transcript of this plea?
It's Zulu.
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 I'm gonna blame co-counsel.
Is this a transcript of this plea? That
This is for the record, this is the Odyssey transcript of the Trontavious Stevens plea dated May 15, 2023, filed in the Superior Court.
Okay, all right. I'll take judicial notice of it since it's part of the clerk's record in this case. It's the official plea that's been taken down by Mr. Weaver?
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right, let me take a look at it.
And so the portion that we are speaking of that Mr. Sharp has referenced is on page 4 and starting at line 7 and through line 9. So it starts at the second part of the inquiry. The state has to lay out a factual basis as to what they would have been able to prove at trial beyond a reasonable doubt. So assuming that they can, those two things they pass, then I can determine that your plea is provident and accept your negotiated plea. My response is that the only portion of 0 through 158 that needs to come out based on the objection being made is from line 7 on page 4 to line perhaps 10, and that's being generous because in line 10 you don't talk about proving anything beyond a reasonable doubt or a factual basis. So our position is that everything from the very beginning where the court is
I see that there is a whole bunch of new people here, and that's really, really, really nice. This is a recap of Tuesday afternoon's hearing about evidence, where the defense wants stuff thrown out or not admitted or at least redacted, and the prosecution wants to bolster crap, in my opinion. So that is what we are watching now, because yesterday morning, Judge Glanville said, we are not, I'm having an emergency, so no more court this week. So, yeah. So we are recapping what I didn't stream on Tuesday. So that's what we are doing.
explaining what's going on to Mr. Stevens. And Mr. Stevens is placed under oath, which is critical. And the court is attempting to ascertain whether Mr. Stevens understands what's going on, whether Mr. Stevens understands his rights. Those are all a relevant part of the reason.
Oh, that's not entirely true, Miss Love. What the defense has been bolstering about, or not bolstering, but during cross-examination, they went into, does he really know what the word associate means? Because for the prosecution, it means that they are actively in cahoots with each other to commit crimes. When Mr. Stevens testified, I think that was on his first day of testimony. Associate with was more, was it like go clubbing and stuff? That it was he associates with the word associate with, so to speak. And for me, the same word, but with two complete different meanings. And that's on the prosecution, because if they don't explain it properly during the plea agreement, that's on them.
Then the state tenders this plea agreement video as evidence. But as to lines 7 through 10 on page 4, the state would not object to redacting that portion.
All right.
I don't have a transcript, so I'm not.
Here's another one for you.
Your Honor, again, I don't see the admissibility. I don't see the impeachment.
Mr. Steele, first, let me deal with one thing to begin with before I address that. I am going to admit one Zulu, as it is in the and I can take judicial notice of it since it is in the official court record Odyssey, which is the Superior Court of Fulton County subscribes to. But and I was the judge that took this plea. So in terms of your objection, Mr. Steele, I'm going to overrule it at this point in time. So let me finish with Mr. Sharp. Did you have a chance to take a look at page 4?
Okay.
Line
7 through 10.
7 through 10. That's what the state is recommending that they edit out.
Yeah. And I agree with Mr. Steele. This is not impeachment. They are just rehashing what was said during the state's what do you call it? Direct examination. And this was said during the first day of Mr. Stevens, also known as YSL slug or YSL tick. That's what he said. That's in the plea agreement. They read through the plea agreement. The jury already has knowledge about the plea agreement. So this is not impeachment. So I agree with Mr. Steele and I agree with Mr. Shard that this is just the prosecution wanting to bolster what's in the plea agreement. But that's already in.
Okay, I mean, I do agree with Mr. Steele that with what he said, but also, Your Honor, if the purpose is to show that you, Your Honor, found Mr. Stevens to be freely and voluntarily entering this plea, if that's their purpose, then we again run into the 17857 argument. Because what they're essentially doing, Your Honor, is you're someone that's given great credit and held in high esteem, and the jurors look up to you, and what they're essentially saying, it seems to me, by trying to play this beginning part, this beginning preamble, is to say to the jurors, look, if it was good with Judge Glanville, then who are we to, and who are these defense attorneys to suggest it wasn't done properly, and that's improper.
Your Honor, I disagree with Mr. Sharp on that point. In no way, again, this would go to the weight of the plea itself or the evidence being offered. The court in no way comments on.
If you're completely new here, hi, I'm Nick. I'm a union rep. I do labor law. So yes, I do have a law degree that makes me somewhat suitable to comment on these trials and stuff. Now, do I know anything about Atlanta mumble rap? Absolutely not. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here to comment on the actual proceeding, the trial. And for me, I've said it over and over again. You can check my previous streams on this. I've been covering this since May of last year, this trial. And for me, it's ridiculous it even went to trial, in my opinion. But I assume there's a bunch of you who haven't seen me before. Hi, good to see you here. Thumbs up on this stream. If you like my content, give me a subscription, and we'll go from there. I have tons and tons of content for you.
I'm not even certain how Mr. Sharp gets to the argument that it somehow makes the court a commenter on the weight of the evidence or anything of that nature when we're taking out the portion that he is described talking about the factual basis. And the only thing that is happening is that the court is saying, we don't force people to plead guilty. So we have to make sure you understand your rights. You give them up and freely and voluntarily. So that's the first part. Then I can determine that you're.
I wish it was trial today as well, but the judge yesterday said he had an emergency and there's no trial rest of this week. They will continue on Monday. So what I'm doing, I didn't stream this part of Tuesdays. So that's what I did. And the first 15 minutes of this stream is about the judge saying no more court, Drake coming out in support of Mr. Williams, and YFN, what's his face? I don't remember his name, taking the plea agreement. So that is the first 15 minutes of this stream.
Plea is provident and accept your negotiated plea. Okay, that's the portion that we are asking to be allowed to include. And Mr. Stevens nods in the affirmative, and then the court instructs him, you have to answer yes or no. And pertinently, he says, yes, sir. So these portions that we are asking to play are, I don't even see how the argument is made that it somehow amounts to the court commenting on evidence when we have a plea agreement signed by the defendant, entered as evidence, and
exactly. You already have it in evidence. So why do you have to play that proceeding where he just says what he already said here? It's the defense job to put doubt into what he is saying in that plea agreement. And you already cross-examined him, and you already can continue to cross-examine him. But playing that plea agreement proceeding, that's just bolstering, in my opinion.
the defendant has already given the evidence that he has entered a plea and been sentenced by the court.
Let me try to, Your Honor, they want to play clips, audio of Your Honor saying, I have to make sure this plea is freely and voluntarily given, which I understand happens during a plea. We all get that. But then, lo and behold, they're going to present to the jury that the plea was accepted. I mean, the jurors are smart people. They're going to understand that Your Honor found that the plea was freely and voluntarily given.
How is that not admissible, though?
Why is it admissible?
Because it borders on opinion as to his guilt or guilt. Like, see, for the plea, if I make that determination because Ms. Love and Mr. Atkins, there's no jury. When it's said in front of a jury, or what the defendants are saying is, it might give to the jury my opinion as to whether or not that's been proven or asserted guilt or innocence. So, and that, of course, as you all both know, that if this is wrong,
Correct.
it's very bad. So, so I would prefer, over your objection, Ms. Love, to go ahead and just edit out 0 through 158. It's just not worth the lift or the squeeze at this point.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you. Oh.
So, Your Honor, having no problem with that, I just ask that the court allow us to keep in lines 1 through 19 on page 3, where it has Mr. Stevens being sworn in. And then from there, after he says, I do, the second time, taking out all of the court's instructions.
So you mean from line 19 through?
From line 21 through line...
Yeah, the judge has
16.
Probably one of the first time where the judge actually goes against the prosecution in some way or form. In my opinion, it would be better to not have that video played at all. Because, as I said, the plea agreement is already in evidence. They read from the plea agreement. The juries are smart people. It's what's called bus stop people. And bus stop people goes to the saying about if during to choose a jury for a trial, you more or less can go out to the nearest bus stop, pick out 12 people and say, you're on jury duty. So hence bus stop people, because that's the average person on the street.
On what page?
I'm sorry, page 4.
So line 20 of page 3, or 21 of page 3,
Yes.
through what?
Line 16 of page 4. Where the court starts at that point saying, so Ms. Love, is it going to be you, Ms. Love? And then I say it's going to be Ms. Hilton today. And then the court informs Mr. Stevens that Ms. Hilton will ask him a series of questions designed to get at 2 areas we talked about. When she's done, your attorney will offer me some things on your behalf, and then you and I will have a short conversation, and I should be able to accept your plea. And then from there, everything is Ms. Hilton.
Sorry, muted. They are even if they manage to have the jury with them, the prosecution, because sadly there are tendencies in the U.S. justice system to vote guilty even if you're not beyond reasonable doubt. There's a tendency of that. And but here, the jury does not know that this trial will take 6 months to a year. They don't know that. They've been told it's a long trial, several months. That's all they know. We already lost jurors because of illness and other things, and they only have 6 alternates. And in order for this to not be a mistrial, they may have to make sure that all the 12 jurors and the remaining 4 alternates, because if they go down to 0 alternates and there's months left of the trial, then it will probably be a mistrial. And then they have to start over again.
Up until the timestamp that we talked about, wherein
What page goes to 1 through 158?
158 is,
Because the defense is asking me to omit 0 to 158.
okay, I'll tell the court. It starts at, may I take off my mask? When Ms. Hilton,
Hi, Bobby. I have this wishful thinking. They go through the entire trial. So let's say it takes 6 months. I don't think it will take 6 months. I think it will probably take a full year. And then the jury comes back within 45 minutes with not guilty. That would be such a nice kick in the behind of the prosecution for wasting everybody's time and millions of Atlanta citizens' tax money. Because that, in my opinion, is what's being done here. In my opinion, my personal opinion, District Attorney Fannie Willis is going for the Attorney General position after this term. And she won't go there by prosecuting robberies and home invasions and stuff like that. She gets there via RICO trials. And if she starts losing these RICO trials, yeah, but we'll see. It's a long trial. I'm going to be here every week, either live streaming the entire trial, doing recaps and stuff like that, because I'm practicing. I have a day job. I do labor law. Some days and some weeks will be harder for me to stream these trials live, but I will do recaps and stuff like that. Hi, Kaiser. Good to see you. And Mrs. K. Grift and Fondian and everybody. And there's over 500 people here, according to StreamYard thingy. Hi. Good to see you all. I'm not used to having this many people here. I hope that I earn your subscription today. Hey.
so it would be line 4 on page 5, where the court, where Ms. Hilton says, thank you. That's where they're asking to have taken out. All the way from the very beginning where he's being sworn in to line 4 of page 5.
Okay, if you have questions, put one of these red questions marks in front of it, so I can see it. If I don't see it immediately, post it again. And if you really want me to read it, you have the super chat function. Now, that's not necessary. I will try to get it anyway. I'm not a grifter. I do that on Friday evenings on my Finally Friday grifting stream, or whatever you can call it, where you pay me to take a shot of whiskey and stuff like that. But during these normal day-to-day trial streams, not necessary, but if you really want to, I won't object. I will not object to it.
And what we're asking is that
Yes, it will continue.
out of all of that the court leave in lines 1 through 20 on page 3 and line 17 throughout on the rest of it up until the first designated stopping point, which was 3 minutes and 57 seconds. And that point of 3 minutes and 57 seconds is at
Yeah, they're currently, for you who just joined, they're currently arguing about the video from Mr. Stevens' plea agreement hearing. So they are redacting and redacting and redacting because the judge amazingly realized him agreeing to this plea agreement might be viewed by the jury as his opinion on guilt on the defendants. So that has to, you can't play that. And then they argue about, because it's a video from Law and Crime, and their headline is there, so they have to redact that, and they have to redact a lot of things. For me, I don't understand why it's getting played at all. Again, I don't know. Hip Hop Press 365 Content 100. Hello! Question mark. Do you believe that the judge is being fair with the objections with the defense versus the state? Absolutely not. It's ridiculous. He yells at the defense in front of the jury. But when the prosecution forks up, he lets it go. It's amazingly bad how he conducts himself, in my opinion, between the defense and the state. Is Tick facing impeachment? Yes, the prosecution wants to impeach him on some of his testimony. JC again, do you think they're trying to get Tick impeached prior to going forward with his testimony? Yes. Thank you for your questions. I welcome constructive
page 7, line 23.
I do. But here's the thing. I work solely as defense. So I am biased. I have... But that's the thing. So should everyone. So should everyone. Because in a trial, the defendant is presumed innocent unless proven guilty. Sitting there, it shouldn't be an even scale. Oh, I wonder who has the best argument. The scale should be their allegations. That's all it is. It's just allegations. And the prosecution has 100% of the burden of proof. The gentlemen on the defense stand are innocent by law and by US Constitution. But again, I welcome constructive criticism. If you believe I'm totally out of it, say so and explain why. And we can have a brief discussion about it.
Where Ms. Hilton asked, do you understand that as count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, it carries a minimum of 5 years and a maximum of 20 years in custody? and then stops at.
Okay, culpristic. Thank you. Impeach in this context would say the witness is inconsistent. When non-lawyers think of impeachment, they usually think about the criminal charge of impeachment, which rarely happens. Yes. So when they are in this context, they are impeaching his testimony. Even if it's the state's own witness, he has said some things that are inconsistent.
He says yes, and then stopping on page 8 at line 2 and starting at line 3 on page 8. Do you understand that this is a negotiated plea?
The plea agreement
except court can sentence you to the maximum on each charge.
The defense.
Continuing.
But the defense did a good job in cross-examination to bring out questions about if he really understood what he was signing, and testimony about some of the places that they sold drugs. It was not exclusive. And even when they said, could anybody call themselves YSL? And apparently they could. So do they really go into the definition of being a criminal gang, as in with the initiations, with don't call yourself a YSL if you're not, and stuff like that? So they did a good job in the cross-examination.
Until 1539, where Ms. Hilton then begins to get into the factual basis for the case, which is on.
In order for Tick to go back to jail, that would mean that the prosecution must go in front of a judge and ask the judge to find that he violated his plea agreement. So the prosecution can't do it by themselves. They have to have a hearing in front of a judge where they ask the judge to remove the plea agreement or find that he was in violation of his plea agreement. Good questions today.
Factual basis, Mr. Sharp indicates is 1538 through 2256. So I'm gonna let you all work that out. But let me just figure out the first pages.
Judges have their everything in the courtroom is under the judge's discretions. It's extremely rare that they are being reprimanded. Extremely rare. Dwayne, this hearing is on Fox 5 Atlanta. If you don't want my input, just go over there. I don't know. If it's not in his plea agreement, then you don't have to. We don't know. All we found out is that the judge had an emergency and no court rest of the week. No court today or tomorrow. The court will resume on Monday. Oh, sorry. Nick is one of the state's main witnesses, yes. Didn't do so well, in my opinion. Skip ahead until they actually say something.
You should admit.
Oh. period.
Okay, Ms. Love, over your objection, I'm going to say you should omit 0 through 158. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then I'm going to leave the acknowledgments that are 610 over Mr. Shart's objection. I'm going to omit at 1530 or thereabouts approximately the Boykin rights and the appeal. I'm going to omit the factual basis at 1538 or thereabouts to 2256. I'm going to omit 2311, my prosecutor's statement. I'm going to omit 2639 to 2710, charges not being the nighttime strip club curfew issue. And then there's also the 2720 reference. What was that again? I'm sorry.
I thought it was a reference to these gentlemen's right to appeal. If it's not, then it.
Hip Hop Press 365. Due to all the media attention and some of the jury members being acknowledged with possible threats, could this case lead to a mistrial? Absolutely. Now, I haven't heard anything about threats to the actual jurors. I do know that, one of the first days, Law and Crime camera tilted a bit too far to the left and revealed the first row of jurors. And I do know that there is a Reddit thread where people are being identified or misidentified. There are a lot of names out there of who those jurors possibly is. The court haven't told the jurors they might have been doxed, which is a problem for me. But again, this not showing jurors is very new. I understand in U.S. Courts. For instance, if you go back to the O.J. Simpson trial, the jurors were shown. If you, go back 15, 20 years, most jurors were shown during if it was televised.
It's not. We can check it and then.
Yeah,
Should we play it?
yeah, please play it. Let's play it. Let me just hear it.
2710.
10, please.
20. Okay.
Sorry. Hi, Lynn. So why are they trying to take the cameras out? They are trying to take the cameras out. The prosecution has filed a motion to take the cameras out because they claim that witnesses has been threatened. They found 2 comments on a Law and Crime in a Law and Crime chat, just like in my which is stupid in my opinion, because it's a chat. So what? And allegedly that one of the crime scene investigators had a weird phone call from an unknown number. In my opinion, it's really, really weak. But I don't know about this judge. But they will have a hearing about that on the 2nd of February 2nd. So next Friday. So will I stream that? Absolutely. I wouldn't want to miss it for the world. So we will find out next Friday.
I have it 2720.
You said 2720.
Give or take.
I'm starting at 2708.
Sorry, I don't know. Tick's lawyer. It has to be very important for his lawyer to actually wanting to do that.
Hang on, let me share the screen.
Okay. Yeah, this is a recap So if we get to that, I will comment on it when we get there.
Versus Trentavia Stevens in indictment 20. You can't have any contact with anybody else in this indictment until this proceedings are over. Yes, sir. And what I mean by that is until the appellate procedure in this particular case is over, if any. You understand that? Yes, sir. Okay. Do you have any questions about my sentence?
I changed.
You need to admit that, please. Okay.
Yes.
Anything else?
Yes,
Because I don't want to have any issues tomorrow morning. Okay.
In my opinion, if by the pure standard of beyond reasonable doubts, this should have been a directed verdict. Because in my opinion, what they have shown so far, the only thing is Tick's plea agreement. That's the only thing that has some value. A lot of the cases they have brought up so far in this indictment is the underlying acts under the RICO Act, which they didn't have evidence when it happened. I mean, 2013, 2015, 2016. On Tuesday, they had a witness on the stand testifying about a carjacking that none of the defendants was involved. In fact, that carjacking was never brought to trial. There were never any charges brought to anyone. There were allegations, there were people brought in for questioning, but no charges was ever brought. So in my opinion, this is just the second bite of the apple, and it's ridiculous.
Yes.
Okay. So are those the only things that you...
No, there's two other things, Your Honor. First of all, Mr. Matthews has brought it to my attention that it's 1616 on what he's looking at. Without manipulating anything, a headline comes up that judge shocked that YSL defendants reject deal or something.
Okay, you know that those are all the fake folks that
I don't know. I just
and what I mean by fake is fake news. It didn't occur. You know that.
I'm not saying that you were shocked. No. Let me be clear. I'm not saying you were shocked.
No, it's not. A third party is trying to attribute to me something that's not true.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Can we just strip out all that, please, madam?
Yes.
All right.
And 1616 and 747.
It doesn't come up on the one that I'm playing on mine. Now, maybe it does when they're, oh, okay, I see it right here.
Please. This
I'll
is not making a problem. Strip it out, okay?
Here's a thought, Judge. Don't allow it. That's an original thought. Don't allow it in, because they can use the plea agreement in itself, and they already have. They don't need this video. They shouldn't. It's just bolstering, in my opinion.
Yes.
And then finally, Your Honor, the state suggested that they remove one piece of this, which is at the bottom of page 7, 7 line 23 to the top of page 8, which goes over the
Say again, is that you're referring to the paper transcript? Or the plea transcript?
The plea transcript.
What
Yes.
page are you talking
bottom
about?
of page 7, starting on
Hold on.
page 23.
Bottom of page 7, line 23?
Yeah, line 23.
That's the count 1. Okay, going through what?
People they claim were YSL was suspects in that carjacking, but charges was dropped. There was never a trial. Nobody was convicted, but it's still an underlying act by the allegation alone. And that's how vague and how broad the Georgia RICO Act is.
Line 1 of page 28. Page 8.
That's years in custody.
Yes.
So it talks about punishment, or about, no, I'm sorry, it talks about the maximum sentence that you could receive.
Yes.
Minimum maximum sentence.
And Your Honor, I can see that under normal circumstances, there's some case law out there that states that this would be inadmissible. However, the state is stated repeatedly that they're seeking to introduce this as far as to prove that the plea was voluntary. So this is a very unusual circumstance. And I don't know how we let the jurors, if the point of this is to not only provide inconsistent statements or present inconsistent statements, but also prove that the plea is voluntary, it seems to me that we're only giving the jurors half the story if we leave out what Mr. Stevens was facing when he entered this plea.
Your Honor, I believe that that is a backdoor effort by the defense in asking. I think that it's disingenuous to suggest that somehow it is proper to keep a sentence that Mr. Stevens did not receive in as part of this offer that we're making. The only thing that we are asking not to be shared with the jury as it relates to this portion that
this is, in my opinion, if the prosecution wants all of this in, then the defense should have the rest of it in. It's under the rule of completion to have the whole story there, in my opinion, but it's up to the judge's discretion. And regarding RICO, fun fact, Georgia RICO is it's enough for 3 or more people, spoken or unspoken, doing something to bolster their criminal enterprise. Now, that could mean that the arrangements between Fannie Willis and her alleged boyfriend, paying him a lot of money for being the main prosecutor in the Trump RICO case, that could constitute a RICO charge. Will it happen? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
that we are offering as evidence is the maximum and minimum sentence range for the count that the defendants on trial right now are currently facing. It is immaterial because Mr. Stevens proceeded on a negotiated plea.
But they are making it material.
And
The idea that this is a backdoor attempt by the defense, we're not, it's disingenuous. We're not the ones trying to bring in this evidence. This is the video that they, excuse me. This is the video that they're seeking to introduce.
Okay, but
And now they're sanitizing the extrajudicial statements that they want to introduce to the jury.
it's not really relevant, Mr. Short. It's not because he took a plea and he got the benefit of the bargain. For you to telegraph or put this in here to the jury would not be relevant at this point in time. Because they don't decide punishment, and it should not be a factor that comes in. So that's why I think the state wants to take that out.
Just for the record, the reason I think it's relevant is not because it's what my client is facing a lot more than the RICO charge. So I'm not trying to telegraph anything.
No. I know. It's just
But I think it is relevant if we're going to really parse whether it's voluntary or not, to tell the jury, if that's become an issue in a case about whether this plea was voluntary, tell the jury the whole story.
Well, I'm gonna exclude those particular sentences. I'll exclude over your objection, sir. On page 7, starting at line 23 through line 1 on page 8.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Anybody else?
Yes, Your Honor. Following up on that last point, I already cross-examined Mr. Stevens that he was looking at on the RICO count, 20 years to serve in prison. And that is part of his motive.
It's bias. It goes to bias and motive. So, yeah.
Exactly.
So, but still,
So I wanted to.
I'm going to exclude it. I mean, you've gotten what the purpose, and I think he testified that, but so we don't have any other issues. I'll exclude it.
Would that not be a prior consistent?
No. Nice try, Mr. Matthews.
And then, Your Honor, I'm objecting to the entirety of the exhibit, and I apologize, I can't remember. I didn't write down the exhibit number.
It is 14 uniform.
Thank you. I'm objecting to the entirety. I still haven't heard why it is impeachment. I heard the court say it is. I heard the prosecutor say it is, but I don't understand. And maybe.
Well, I think the state was gonna respond to that, and I don't think we ever got to it, Mr. Steele. So, what's the purpose of 14U, madam or sir? Just so we can.
This is also something the judge does, that instead of letting the prosecution argue the admissibility, he is arguing the admissibility. And Mr. Steele brings it up in lawyer fashion, as in not saying it out loud, but referencing to it. So now the judge has to let the prosecution do the arguing for it, because that would be on the record.
Complete the discussion and or ruling on this.
It is to impeach the testimony by implication that was elicited on cross-examination that Mr. Stevens did not have enough time to review the plea agreement, that I think on cross-examination he was asked about being given a bond, and then did you get out immediately when you did it? That was all intended to lay the inference for the jury that this was something that was done under duress. So essentially it is to impeach the notion that has now come out for testimony, the inference that the defendant's questions and Mr. Stevens' answers would allow a jury to draw, which is that this wasn't a free or voluntary plea that he made. And he did this under the thumb of the state unwillingly. And he just answered yes to whatever was put in front of him. Mr. Matthews specifically asked, those were not your words, were they? And he said no. And other lawyers made similar inquiries of Mr. Stevens. And his responses to the questions that were asked on cross-examination allow the jury to draw the inference that it was not a plea that he readily and freely gave.
Is that the only basis, madam?
Your Honor, there were other matters as well. When asked on direct examination by the state, when I asked him whether or not this was the first time that he had seen this, or did he not have?
Seen, what do you mean this? The plea agreement?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
He said, he began talking and said something to the effect of, that was the first time that he had ever seen that paper, and he wasn't being responsive.
Oh, that is misrepresenting his actual testimony. He clearly testified to that he had 2 full days to read through it, and he read through it with his lawyer.
There was an objection. It was noted that he was not being responsive. And again, his testimony was meant to give to the jury the impression that he didn't have time to review his colloquy, that he didn't knowingly agree to these things, and that he made the acknowledgments under duress. So that, coupled with the answers that he's given, are the reasons that the state seeks to introduce this, to allow the jury to see the circumstances under which the plea was given, to see his demeanor while giving the plea, and to see him actually exercise his right to change something. He stopped in the middle of the plea when Ms. Hilton said something he didn't like or didn't agree with. He's like, wait, what is that? I didn't read that. So he wouldn't answer directly when I kept asking him about having the opportunity to go over and discuss these things with his attorney. But he answers it during the plea colloquy and says that he has had enough time, and the jury can see the court giving him time and allowing him to exercise his rights to ask more questions and do anything he wants. So I think that it is necessary when, as here, a witness on the stand makes a different statement, takes a different posture in a statement made outside of court. It is necessary for the jury to see the circumstances of the statements made outside of court, and to hear, when we have that opportunity, what was said, so that they can compare the two and draw any inference that they choose to from the reason that there are differences between the two.
Okay. I have one other, I guess, inquiry or point. Within State's 14 uniform, there is a side colloquy between Mr. Stevens and Ms. Gladden, his counsel. Does that need to be addressed? Does that need to be edited out? Because it seems like that was a private conversation between the two of them that should probably not be included as part of the part of that.
Your Honor, actually, 2 things as to that. Nobody in here has any standing to make that argument. That's the first thing. And 2, with respect to that conversation, it goes directly to what we were talking about, and the fact that Mr. Stevens is wanting to give the impression through his testimony that
the prosecution's motive here to impeach, they know they did a bad job with this plea agreement. So now they are trying to save it. And if that means they will try to gather evidence that makes Mr. Stevens violate his plea agreement, then so be it. So it's a bit vindictive. Can they remove his plea? No, not prosecution by themselves. They have to go in front of a judge and bring their case to it, that he was in violation of the plea agreement. And then it's up to the judge.
his lawyer wasn't working for him, or he didn't have enough time.
Let's ask Ms. Gladden since she's here. Ms. Gladden, madam, anything, or do you concur with the state? Do you have any objection as to that particular colloquy between you and Mr. Stevens? Was it?
I understand the question. I'm just trying to think of it.
Okay. I mean,
Is the state objecting to it, or?
no, the court is just as a cautionary measure, just ensuring that. I know what it goes to. The state's told me that, and it goes to the jury being able to weight Mr. Stevens's testimony in regards to whatever they are asking for them to consider it, credibility otherwise. So but that's their determination.
So the side colloquy, if I just want to reiterate, you say is that it might have the implication that I have not gone over everything with him because I was explaining something.
Hold on. I need to get sound up because I really can't.
It's told me that, and it goes to the jury being able to weight Mr. Stevens's testimony in regards to whatever they are asking for them to consider it, credibility otherwise. So but that's their determination.
So the side colloquy, if I just want to reiterate, you say is that it might have the implication that I have not gone over everything with him because I was explaining something in the middle of the plea. Is that?
So is it okay to leave it in?
Yeah,
I would need to probably discuss that.
yeah, attorney-client privilege is broken when it was displayed and played for the world. There is no attorney-client privilege. Once a third
It's waived.
is waived.
Okay. All right. Okay. I just wanted to just address it so that.
And I think that my response would be that I think that it should be something that if the court was considering it, I should discuss with my client about.
I don't think that he has it. I'm
not saying that I do have to, I'm just telling the court my opinion. As to something coming in.
Is it in the transcript? Is it in the transcript?
I'm not certain, Your Honor. I didn't check the transcript.
Let me see.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was a bit disturbing. The only person who can waive attorney-client privilege is the client. In this case, Mr. Stevens. That's the only person who can waive the attorney-client privilege. So that would be up to him. Now, this is strange. This is really weird.
But I can say that it is already out there. It's been viewed and a million people have seen it. Of course.
Well,
It's been broken.
But I understand that, but at the time that it was presented and played, or however many people saw it, Judge, we weren't in a position where the state was trying to impeach him on the statement. So whether or not I think you have an opinion, Your Honor, as to, I'm not sure the court would agree, but not as to the whole entire plea, Judge. I'm just speaking specifically to those 2 seconds.
Oh, actually, Your Honor, page 14, line 24. I'm letting you know your rights. That's not something that I can't tell you. So, Your Honor, I'm not certain that.
I think the plea transcript, does it say off the record conversation?
It does. So
Okay.
again, Your Honor, two things as it relates to Mr. Stevens having an opinion. He doesn't at this point have a right to assert a privilege that has been waived by virtue of a third party having already heard the statements, number one.
Okay, so statements between the client and the attorney, in this case Mr. Stevens and his attorney, has already been heard by third party? What the actual F is going on here? What third party? When? What's the evidence? Why isn't she defending Mr. Stevens in this? This should be a completely different hearing outside of this court. Out of completely different hearing, in my opinion, where they solely argue that one.
Number two, Ms. Gladden, and with understanding, of course, that the court wanted her to weigh in on it, but she has no standing at this point in these proceedings to intervene because the statements that are being played do not in any way adversely impact her client. There is no privilege when it has been waived when statements have been heard by a third party. So understanding the court's desire to be as judicious as possible regarding these matters, notwithstanding that fact, neither Ms. Gladden nor her client, nor either defendant in the courtroom has either standing or a right to assert attorney-client privilege or suggest that in some way keep these sort of statements out for those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. The videos is on Law and Crime. Tick told her he didn't read this in his plea agreement while taking the plea. So did the court microphones pick it up? Now, it kind of depends on who is controlling the mic, because I think these are microphones that you yourself can turn on and off. You do have some inkling of privacy between the client and attorney. This is strange. This is really strange. Well, only on the news. Yeah, they have had hot mics this entire trial, where they stand in front of this desk and discussing about the evidence, and the microphone picks it up. They have had sidebars that are being picked up by the microphones because they don't have white noise in this courtroom. But if it was off the record, then that should not have been waived. This is really, really weird.
Hold on, Glenn.
Yeah, you can hear weak whispers between these two because the judge doesn't turn off his microphone either.
Ms. Love, the intent was for Mr. Stevens and Ms. Gladden to have a private conversation, even though you might be able to hear what's on the tape. Ms. Weaver has told me that it was not taken down as part of the record. So I'm going to exclude that portion because the intent.
Yeah. Okay. That's not part of the record. So he excludes it. Okay, cool.
Intent was to have a private conversation. But the media, I mean, because we have mics and everything else, they're plugged into our sound system, so they don't press mute. You can hear what's going on. So it's really it's really an unintended conversation between that. Now, so I understand what you're saying, but I think I have to honor that would be a attorney-client. Ms. Gladden didn't do anything to break the privilege. I think it was the intent for her and her client to have a conversation. Now, if she says, "Hey, my client will waive that particular issue,"
okay,
then it won't be. You can certainly hear it.
So, Your Honor, Mr. Stevens hasn't asserted that.
Well, I think she needs to ask him. That's why. So,
Okay.
all right, you want to go ahead and ask your client, please, madam, and let me know. We'll just recess in place.
Okay. Now we're going to have a recess. That was on for a good while. Okay, let's see what she has to say.
Thank you for coming back. Did you have a chance to talk with your client, Mr. Stevens?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
First of all, he wanted me to apologize that we, Mr. Sessions and
Got the what? I'm sorry, ma'am?
that we took so long.
Not to worry. Don't worry about that. All right.
And on this behalf, Judge, he has no objection to the state's request to redact those few seconds.
So you mean
The state and the state request to redact those 3 seconds. And we have,
the off the record conversation?
oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I completely misunderstood. Judge, we don't want it.
So you're okay with it being?
Yes, okay.
You're okay with that
Yes.
off the record conversation to be played, and your client's okay with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
What? She's agreeing with that part being played? Why? What the why? Why would you not advise against that part being played? Because that goes directly against him being able to sign the plea agreement. Well, it helps Tick out. I don't know if it does. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. This. What? That was surprising. Well, if he testified to the judge that he read it in full and understand everything, and then in the recording says he didn't read that part and still signed it, that's horrible. Okay, let's continue.
Do you mind if I ask him for purpose of the record, please? Okay, can we have him come in?
I'll go to the
All right, thank you.
I'm not so sure if he's lying, as in actively trying to deceive. It might be that he just don't understand. He had a lot of years with quite heavy drug use, and that stuff does things to your brain.
Mr. Stevens, you and Ms. Gladden can come on up here, please. Mr. Stevens, you can have a seat in the witness chair again. And Ms. Gladden, you're welcome to stand next to Mr. Stevens.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Now, Mr. Stevens, let me just add, you sit down, please, have a seat. We have had a conversation, that is the parties in here, the state and your counsel, as to your plea that was given some time ago. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but that happens all the time. Defendants just signing a plea deal to get out of there and then saying what the prosecution wants them to say. I'm not a fan of plea agreements, but it's not as bad as prison snitches. Prison snitches shouldn't be allowed, full stop. That's just ridiculous. A prison snitch have every incentive to lie, because if they don't believe him, he's going back to jail. If they believe him, he lets loose. So prison snitches, just don't use them. it's bad.
Part of that plea contains what appears to be kind of an off-the-record conversation between.
It's Bree asked Niklas, is there any reason you'd allow statement from your client to yourself to enter court willingly? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Here's the thing. My clients, I am their shield. Because I have knowledge, I have the training, I have the education and the experience to be that shield between my client and the allegations and the prosecution and sometimes judge. Now, I don't do trials, I do negotiations, but I'm the shield. That's what I'm there for. And that's my sole responsibility is towards my client to be his or her shield towards the allegations.
You and Miss Gladden. Okay, did she talk with you about that?
Yes.
Okay. Is it your desire to invoke your attorney-client privilege, because that would be a private conversation, or do you wish to go ahead and if you invoke your attorney-client privilege, we won't play that particular part of the video, okay? If you say I'm okay with it, then we'll play it, and I just need to find out whether or not your attorney has talked with you about that, because it's your privilege to hold or to waive. So, tell me what you want to do.
Sure. Do you mind it coming in or not?
Oh, no. You don't mind?
No.
Okay. Did Ms. Gladden talk with you about that and explain to your satisfaction?
Did she explain what attorney-client privilege is and how it can be used against you? Please say she did explain that.
What it means to have that particular statement come in or come out?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me again what you want me to do with the statement, or you wish for me to do with the statement?
What?
I don't object. You don't object to it coming in?
No.
Okay. So you waive the privilege just as to that particular statement that you made that you and Ms. Gladden were having a conversation as to?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so this is a partial retraction of the attorney-client privilege. So it's not about the entirety of their attorney-client privilege, but I don't understand.
Mr. Stevens, can I get you to step out just 1 second so I can kind of discuss a little bit of scheduling, and then I'll tell you when you need to come back, okay?
I'm still not sure if the actual...
All right. Okay, so what I want to talk with you all about now is just the scheduling, okay? It's gotten to be about 3:30. You all are going to need to do a little more work in terms of States 14 uniform. So would it be appropriate for me to go ahead and release Mr. Stevens?
Oh, I haven't checked that. There's close to 700 watching and only 120. No, that can't be correct. You must be much nicer people than that. Yeah, I mean, I'm a good person. You are good people. Of course you would want to have all a thumbs up. Or if you don't like me, give me a thumbs down. I mean, for YouTube, it's the reaction and the activity in the chat, giving a thumbs up, doing the subscriptions, and that promotes my channel to more people. Now, here's the thing. I have a bunch of people who watches me who does not agree with me. And then we have a discussion about it between the chat and me. Because I love having constructive criticism. Because how else am I supposed to learn? And if we don't have disagreements, it's just a bunch of people patting me in the back. I'm an older guy. I have very few fucks left to give. When it comes, I enjoy being patted on the back, but in order for me to keep learning, I need constructive criticism, even if it's a thumbs down. I prefer a thumbs up, but I don't mind a thumbs down.
Till tomorrow morning at 1000 hours. Would that be sufficient, madam?
Yes.
All right. It's my intent tomorrow to tell the jurors to come at 10 for a 10:30 start time. That's just for scheduling for you all's edification.
Okay, that's the schedule. Now we know that Wednesday didn't happen because the judge had an emergency. He hello. Oh, great! I'm getting a cat's asshole in my face. Hello. Yes, this is Mr. Jingles. We are all a part of Mr. Jingles Viking Thugs, the internet. Ow! Claws. Oh. If this is the quality of the state's case, what we have seen now the first month and a half, it's ridiculously bad. Ridiculously bad. But now they're going to have some argument about something else.
He was in advance, quite frankly.
Are you going to play it now? Or are you going to play it when Miss Hill testifies?
Your Honor, the state is going to play the call now, and Ms. Hill's testimony does not she's going to testify more about making the 911 call. So Ms. Hill will not be cumulative of the 3-minute 911 call that Ms. Hill made. She's going to talk about other facts and circumstances that will not be cumulative of the 3 minutes of her 911 call she made.
I'm sure that other stuff should be testified. She was a victim of the robbery. That's fine. But in terms of, I made this call to 911, this is what I said to them. She finally testified to that as well. So then why would we need the 911 call to be played unless it's for some specific purpose outside of what she said in the testimony? I mean, is it going to be a prior inconsistent statement or a prior consistent statement in advance? That's not necessary.
Okay, Miss Hill was the person who testified earlier on Tuesday. That is the witness to the carjacking where a masked person jacked a car. And she called the cops. It took the cops 20 to 30 minutes to get there because I'm assuming they had better things to do, as in smelling weed from 100 yards away in a passing car or something like that. So now they're arguing about the 911.
So
Sure.
It may have other objections that are within it. Sure. Okay. And I would agree.
Oh, and the jury comes in. Oh, they are playing the 911. I just already testified, and then we bring the call.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. All right, thank you, Sergeant Ingram.
Hip-hop press again. If the state lacks evidence to show YT as funding YSL for criminal acts or being present during the criminal acts, could that lead to a not guilty verdict? Yes. Or just being one of the founders is enough. In Georgia RICO, you can be convicted under the RICO Act for other people's crime within that criminal organization. So this trial is more about, is YSL an actual criminal organization where people worked for the enhancement of that criminal organization? But it's ultimately the fact finders are the jury. So it's up to them. And if it was me, no, it's not guilty. But then again, the Georgia RICO Act is so vague and so broad, and it's never been challenged on a federal level, the Georgia RICO Act, only in the Georgia Supreme Court, but it never went to federal level. It would be interesting to see parts of the Georgia RICO Act challenged on a higher level to see if it's even constitutional.
Mr. Stevens, we are going to excuse you till tomorrow morning. I'd like you to appear back at 10 o'clock, okay? Just be outside and we'll pick up your testimony once we call for you. It'll probably be somewhere between 10:30 and 10:45, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, so see you in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, with your permission and concurrence, we're going to take another witness out of order. As I mentioned earlier, that's an acceptable way to take testimony upon agreement of all the parties. So I'm going to go ahead and call this particular witness, and then once they're done, we're done for the day, okay? All right. Okay, then I'll tell you what time. I think you probably figured out, but I'm going to have you all report for 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and we know they didn't come back Wednesday morning or the rest of this week. But we're going to listen to this witness, and then we're going to talk a bit about what I expect will happen going forward in this trial.
And we'll get started sometime around 10:30, okay? All right. So your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Continue with Act 61, the state calls for Sharon Latner.
All right. Summon Ms. Latner, please. Ms. Latner, good afternoon, madam. If you could please approach the witness stand. Once you get there, if you would be so kind to turn and face starting and be sworn as a witness, please, before you sit down.
I do. Sharon Latners, SharonLatners.
Good afternoon, Ms. Latner.
Good afternoon.
Can you explain to the jury where you're currently employed?
State of Atlanta Communication 911 Center.
And are you the appropriate business custodian for 911 radio traffic and tag force of the City of Atlanta Police Department?
Yes,
And how long have you been in that position?
since 2004.
Your Honor, may I approach?
You may, sir.
I'm handing the witness, Your Honor, 1 through 4, Victor. Ms. Latner, can you review State Exhibits 1, Victor, through 4?
Hip Hop Press 365. Find their channel and post the link to it in chat. Good questions. Deserves a bit of promotion from me. Good questions today, sir. Or miss. I don't know.
Victor, and let me know when you have done so. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll start with 1, Victor. What is 1, Victor?
Copy of the 911 calls from that date.
And what is 2, Victor?
The CAD reports of incident on that date.
And what is 3, Victor?
It's a CAD, incident report what officer pulled out on this call.
And what is 4, Victor?
The radio tracker for this number 4B.
How do you recognize these items?
They see the Atlanta CAD report and my name is on top, so I print them out.
And are they fair and accurate representation of the 911 call and radio traffic for this incident?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to admit State Exhibit 1 through 4, Victor.
Any objection, sir?
One quick second.
Sure.
Can I see those, please? Take what we got, 3 and 4.
You certainly may.
I can't see them all. You don't.
You said 3 and 4.
Thank you, Judge. No objection.
All right, state,
Well,
other than it's been previously asked, I'll note that, make a continuing objection, sir.
yes, sir.
Okay. 61 Victor through 4 Victor admitted, and maybe published as you see fit.
Thank you, Your Honor. State's going to publish State's Exhibit 2, Victor. Ms. Lattis, I know you testified before. I wanted to ask you about a different day.
Thank you, Leon, for becoming a member. Yes, you can become a member of this channel. It's $3 a month, and you will get members-only content. As I've heard, the most members-only content on LawTube. And LawTube, if you don't know, that's what is called when we with a law degree is commenting on trials. So it's still under the true crime stuff, but the specific segment is lawyers and people with law degrees commenting on trials. Yeah, thank you. And you also get access to my Discord, where you can comment and debate on the cases I'm covering right now, and suggest other cases you want me to delve into and give my opinion on. But thank you so much, Leon, for becoming a member.
Related to this case, is this the CAD report for this incident? To Victor?
That says July 25th. This says May 11, 2016.
Yeah, the printed date was July 25th, 2016. Is that what you're referring to?
Oh, okay, May 11. Yes, sir.
And what was the call type and description on the top right? It says 44 Victor carjacking. Can you explain what that means?
44B is a statement that APD used. Carjacking is someone being carjacked from someone taking their car.
And underneath that, it says priority 10-minute response. What kind of priority is a 44 Victor carjacking?
It's a priority to which city of police. It's a high priority.
And with a
Don't give me that. Oh,
when this comes in, how is this information disseminated within Atlanta Police Department?
Well, the 911 has codes and we have priority. Priority 1 is officer shot. Priority 2 is something's in progress. A carjack is in progress. So that means call is going to go right over to dispatch so they can get out to the officer.
And Ms. Latner, what is the date of this call?
May 11, 2016.
And what location did the call come in from?
245 Amer Drive, Southwest, apartment 5005.
And what beat and zone is that location?
It's in zone 3 and it's on 307's beat.
Turn it a little bit down the middle under incident time. When was this call received, Ms. Latner?
The call came in through 911 at 2:48:56 p.m. hours.
And when did the officers arrive?
2:52:37 p.m. hours.
And who was the primary unit who responded to this call?
Unit 3301.
Is that Officer Nicholas Reed?
Yes.
What officer, Ms. Latner, is primary unit 3301?
I'm sorry, Nicholas Reed.
Thank you, ma'am. Turning your attention to page 3 of State's Exhibit 2, Victor, under the CAD narrative, at timestamp 2:49:27 p.m. Can you explain what it means when it says just happened, Sierra 78 Papa?
I'm going to object to the prosecution. Well, leading first, and that's fine.
I'll sustain objections. Why don't you just rephrase, sir?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Latner, do you see where it says May 11, 2016, 2:49 and 27 seconds?
Yes.
Can you please read and explain what comes after that, if you would, please, ma'am?
The call advised the 911 operator the incident just happened on the carjacking. And the operator asked for a lookout on the person, some kind of lookout. And she advised 78 on the 4 black males armed with a gun, which is 69 gun. 69 is out sitting, but it means gun.
What does 78 mean?
A lookout.
And after that, can you explain what comes after gun on that and what it means to the jury?
She advised the perch took her 78, which is her vehicle, her black Toyota. And she gave the lookout on 1 black male, black shirt, 1 black male, blue jeans, vest, and white shirt, tan pants.
And Ms. Latner, right after that, at 5/11/2016 at 2:50 p.m., there is, can you explain what that means for the jury when it starts with DOT?
Last direction of travel means last time a female or male saw the person.
the buffering of, yeah. Oh, okay, it's very little.
They took a right on Amer Drive approximately 3 minutes ago.
Thank you, ma'am. And who did this call come from?
Miss Hill.
Thank you, Ms. Latner. Your Honor, at this time, the state is going to publish State's Exhibit 1, Victor.
All right, sir.
Register 65 for the rest of the emergency. 245 Mall Drive, Unit 5005, Atlanta, Georgia, 30315. That's 245 Mall Drive, Southwest of Unit 5005. Do you need police, fire, or ambulance there? Yes, I need the police. Somebody just robbed me at gunpoint. Alrighty, ma'am. What's your name? They took my car and my purse. They took everything. They took your vehicle as well? Ma'am. Yes, they did. Ma'am, they took my purse. Ma'am, I need you to calm down so I can get some information from you. Were they black, white, or Hispanic? They were black. How many of them? It was like 4. 4 black males? Were they black males? 4 black males, they're in a brown car. Hold on, ma'am. They were armed with guns? Yes. Excuse me. And what's the color, make, and model of your vehicle, please? I have a Toyota Corolla. It's black. A black Toyota Corolla. You know your tag number? No, I don't.
Remember, she received this. It's an ongoing crime. And they took the cops 20 to 30 minutes to actually show up. Well, thank you, JC, for becoming a member. Welcome. And as I said before, you now have access to a lot of members-only content. And that can be stuff about my farm, my day-to-day job, the renovation. I mean, just stuff so we get to know each other better. Okay, thank you for becoming a member.
Oh, no, my tag number, but they have my pocketbook, they have everything. Hold on for 1 second. All right, do you remember what color shirt and pants they had on? I know the boy had on tan pants, he had a small afro, one had a black shirt. Wait a minute, he had on a black shirt? Hold on, wait a minute. No, the driver had on a black shirt. Okay. The driver had on a black shirt. And
I don't know. I mean, look at this. I'm so white, it's comical. And I'm also Swedish. Do I have seen when cops don't show up in under 10 minutes? Of course. But I live on a farm on the countryside. They might not ever show up. I have had a neighbor of mine got broken in to his barn. He called the cops, talked to him, he filed the report. He got the papers on case dismissed before he got the papers of the police report. Yeah. So,
what color pants? The guy who robbed me had on tan pants. No, wait a minute, the driver. What color shirt pants did the driver have on? I couldn't see the pants because he was the driver. Okay, and then so the one who pointed the gun at you, he was a black male. What color was his shirt? His shirt was a blue jean vest. It was white underneath, and he had tan pants. Blue jean vest with a white shirt and then tan pants? Yes. Okay, when they left, which way did they go? When they pulled out, they went right on the neighborhood. So right onto a mall. Right on the mall towards Pryor or Maple Circle. I didn't even get to see which way they went. How long ago was that? This was literally like 3 minutes ago, 4 minutes ago. Okay. And where are you now? You in the house? Yeah, I'm in my neighbor's house. What's your name? Arabia Hill. Hill, what's a good callback number for you? What's your phone number? They have my phone, they have everything. Okay, don't worry about
5:55 something.
like 3 minutes ago, 4 minutes ago. Okay. And where are you now? You in the house? Yeah, I'm in my neighbor's house. What's your name? Arabia Hill. Miss Hill, what's a good callback number for you? What's your phone number? They have my phone, they have everything.
Here's the thing. Tick had nothing to do with this crime. This is a witness out of order. So this has nothing to do with Tick. This carjacking, nobody was charged with the crime. There was no trial, no convictions. There were suspects of it that was brought in for questioning, but the charges was dropped.
Okay, don't worry about it. I had it. 78. Don't worry. 678-608-6544. Alrighty. Somebody's going to come out to you to make that report, ma'am. If you can get your tag number, that'll be very helpful, ma'am. I guess I have to call the license and registration place. No, call your insurance company. They can give you your VIN number over the phone. Okay. Okay. All right. Miss Hill, tell me if you're black. Hello? Yes, I'm black. What color shirt and pants are you wearing? I got on brown pants, like capri pants. Hey, okay, what color is your shirt? It's
The allegation, when it comes to the Georgia RICO Act, the charge in itself is the RICO. Then under it, you have underlying acts. And in this trial, under the Georgia RICO charge, they have, I think, 170 underlying acts. Now, those doesn't have to be convictions or charges. They only need to be allegations for some odd reason. And that is why they are playing this in court. Because the allegation is that one or more in the YSL committed this crime. So that's why they are playing it.
a colorful shirt. Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll get someone out there for you. Yeah. All righty. Bye.
Now, Miss Ladders, was it that time, did or did not that 911 call impact the CAD report that we were just discussing?
Yes, sir.
And I wanted to talk about for Victor. Can you explain in general, the state will publish for Victor. Now, this CAD report, Ms. Ladders, can you explain when it indicates it was self-initiated? This CAD report.
Unit 3309 advised his dispatcher to hold him out on a 54, which is suspicious car, X Cleveland Avenue, and make.
That's the Georgia RICO Act. It is so broad and so vague, they can put in as an underlying act under the RICO charge, and it's enough with the allegation to put in front of the jury and make jury the fact finder, is this credible or not? I know. For me, it's insane. But that's the Georgia RICO Act, and that is what it allows. That is what the Georgia politician wants. It's a law they wrote, and the Georgia courts says it's okay.
Drive.
And who is Unit 3309?
Wesley Floyd.
And what day did this call that Officer Floyd put in come in?
May 11, 2016.
And when was it received by APD 911?
3:37:57 p.m. hours.
Now, the status at the top, and this is call type description. What is a 41 India auto accident injury?
He advised his dispatcher to change the 54 to an auto accident. Call ended up being an accident.
And what?
I agree, Kishon. Gotta be double jeopardy. But it isn't. Because it's not a charge. It's just an underlying act. It's a legal technicality. If they have charged them, then it would be double jeopardy. But they don't charge them. It's just an underlying act.
What beat and zone was this call originating from?
Zone 310's beat.
And what was the location?
Cleveland Avenue at Macon Drive, Southeast Atlanta.
Yeah, and that's Cleveland Avenue, which according to the prosecution is the area where the YSL gang controlled in some shape or form. And that's enough for it to be an underlying act.
Your Honor, going to publish State's Exhibit 3, Victor.
Yes. More or less. It is a way to get in crimes that there wasn't enough evidence for even a charge to get in. And here's the thing. Even Tick testified to that people could do their own thing in their area. So it could have been the YSL members. It could have been somebody else. Don't know.
Three on the radio. 309. Hey, I'm behind the 44V. What's your location? Gonna be used Polar Rock and Victor. Polar Rock and.
Okay. So this, what they are playing now, is just another 911 call about the same event. So you had the witness of the carjacking testifying, and then 2 different 911 calls. Yeah. Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that. Whoops. Wrong button. That one. Okay. Now, what's going to happen next week? On Monday, when they come back to court? Well, Mr. Stevens will be back on the stand. ADA Love will impeach him with the video of the plea agreement hearing. And then the trial will continue with, in my opinion, extremely weak evidence. In my opinion, this is my personal opinion. It's a waste of time and a waste of taxpayers' money. Because District Attorney Fannie Willis wants to be the next Attorney General for Fulton County in Georgia. Yeah. All right. What's going on next on my channel? Well, I will be returning tomorrow. We will be watching a police interview with Zachariah Anderson. That's another case I'm covering. He was convicted March of last year of something he shouldn't have been convicted of. But we are going to watch that police interview so we all can see, okay, how did he conduct himself? Does he look guilty? Does he say something incriminating? And then after that, it is a finally Friday casual stream where me, friends, other lawyers, we just sit back, we have a drink, and we talk about whatever comes into our minds. It could be other cases and stuff like that. So I hope I will see most of you or all of you tomorrow. And with that case, other than that, return here on Monday. As I said, I still have a practice. So Monday might only be a recap of Monday because I would assume it's a short day and a lot of breaks and pauses and lunch, and Judge will be an hour late as he always is. So if not tomorrow, I will see you all on Monday. Thank you all for showing up. There's been a lot of you here, more than I'm used to, but I don't mind. I don't mind at all. On your way out, please hit that thumbs up and the subscription button so you don't miss anything of this. And I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye-bye.